You can? All right, good deal. All right, hey, Jerry, you don't own pants or what? All right, good deal. All right, perfect, good deal. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. I like those reading glasses? Or just okay, very good. Yeah, I understand. I have them. I know them well. We won't ask you what magnification. Okay, see, I've gone from 1.25 to 1.5. I keep moving on up. It's like, holy smokes, right? Arms aren't long enough. You know what? It's a little, you guys it's too chilly to get out of bed. Come on now, right? I know, that's what I'm saying. This is beautiful, isn't it? I was excited. What's that? You know what? I was there for Thanksgiving, and it was cooler, but I didn't check this morning. It was below 30 for sure. Yeah. It's that's good, right? That's why we have 4 seasons. It ought to be. But it's usually a little lighter attended meeting anyway, December, because and we have our Christmas party Thursday. All right, you guys, if you haven't RSVP'd, you can still RSVP. We still have room for you, so feel free to come join us. It's down at the Featherstown Country Club. Love to have you. 2 to 5, wide open. You can come at 2 and leave at 5, or you can come at 3:15 and leave at 3:20. Right? It's a totally open house kind of thing. Pop in. Buffet will be hanging out, and you'll have plenty of time to get to see everybody. To see you there. So if you haven't registered, there's a link. If you go to our calendar, FHR calendar, and look it up, there's a link on there where you could, on the actual date, where you can do that. So everybody had a good Thanksgiving? Yeah? Stick around? Yeah? Everybody was here? Yeah? No skiing tomorrow? Okay, you came back for Thanksgiving, and then you're going back out. All right. Eric has a great life. He just, all winter, he skis all winter long, right? Much, right? Where have you been already? Okay. Nice. Yeah? Yeah, nice. You ski all the time, or do you do hiking, or what do you do?
I go uphill a lot, traversing.
Yeah.
We call that skinning.
What?
Skinning.
Skinning? Okay, very good. All right, yeah, awesome. Good deal. Cool. Awesome. What's up, Brian Heckman? So, hey, who won the, did anybody get close to your guess the calories and guess the steps? See, nicely done. Did you Google that or try and figure out how many calories you burnt? He's a math teacher. That's math teachers stick together. That a boy.
That's it.
All right, nicely done. Good job. So.
A little light on it, but.
Yeah, that's all right. Good deal. He had more pounds to lose. That's why he burned more calories. All right, when it's heavier than you thought. So, and some of our well. Janet's going to, if you guys stick around, Janet is going to do a 1031 exchange class right after this. It will be recorded as well, so we can record it, right? Okay, perfect. Be recorded as well, so we'll be able to do that. So Janet specializes 1031 exchanges. We get a lot of questions about 1031 exchanges. We've been wanting to do a class so that we could and also record it because our agents want to know about these things. It's a very viable tool to use for investors in particular, and Janet can give you all the low-down, dirty details, pretty much making sure you need to know how to use a third-party intermediary, of which they are that. So that'll be good. Stick around for that afterward. I think, Jim, you got anything else for right now before we get to our vendors? Oh, you know what? I will, because you asked me to talk about this. If you guys, and we may be probably not talking to the right people right now, because you guys are pretty quiet inherently right now. It's a little, more quiet in here than usual. But I guess last month we this is a retirement community. Everybody understands this building. That's why we have bingo. I mean, all sorts of great things going on, right? Frosties in the back, all sorts of great things. By the way, it's a great facility. Give everybody a chance if you ever have in need of someone in your family that's in need of something like this. It's a full service kind of. It's I don't know if it's still Marriott owned. At one point, it was Marriott owned, but they call it a full spectrum. So they've got people that are fully independent. They have villas here that they're fully independent, yet they have, health care real close, right? For those that may need that, all the way up, and you can graduate or degraduate, I guess, to whatever you want to look at it, to full full convalescence, right? They even have full convalescence here. They have where you can just, hey, live on your own, or you can come here and have, a meal ticket and get 20 meals a month or whatever in the cafeteria, and so on and so forth. So it's it's a really neat idea for those that are looking to retire. So, but because of that, it's a really neat idea because they give us this room for free, right? And so because of that, we don't want to abuse that in any way. And one of the things, I guess, there were some of the residents had said that some of our agents were a little loud on our way out the door after the meeting, all right? So it's also probably the same people I shooed away from the donuts last time because I know they're on dietary restrictions. So they come in here trying to wheel in like, hey, I smell donuts. I'm like, you better check with your nutritionist first. And they're like, so they probably wanted to complain about me anyway. But if we could just be conscientious of not being too loud, and probably talk to myself the most, right? Not being too loud when we're out in the hallways, so on and so forth, right? Interrupting their bridge games and all sorts of stuff, all right? So, and the tile, what are those, Rubik's Cube, Rummikub, whatever that game is, all right? Very popular. What's that? Mahjong. All right, thank you very much. Is that an Italian version of that, I take it? Jewish? What is it?
Mahjong is actually, I think, original Indian, but it's a big Jewish game.
Okay, it's a Jewish game. All right. I knew what's the other thing you spin? Dreidel. Thank you very much. All right, keep it up. All right, we'll get our Hanukkah trivia in as well. So if you could, just make sure you're conscientious of that as you come and go in and out as we leave. Is there anything else, Jim? All right, I do keep thinking, every time I point to Jim, I think of things that Jim needs to tell you that I'm going to tell you instead. That is, we talked about briefly last month that you need to go online and make sure your address, your home address, is updated with DBPR, because we're cross-referencing our database against DBPR's database, because we're going to send out our 1099s this year. Normally, by law, and still by law, they have to be in your hands by January 31st. But we're going to get them out to you. We're going to mail them on the 10th. All right, so you'll have them by the 15th, no later than the 15th, as long as you've updated your address so we have your proper address. You'll have them by the 15th. You have basically 5 to 6 days that you need to review that to see if there are any corrections that need to be made. Right? I want to make sure we're clear on this, and this is being recorded, and we're going to make sure all our agents know this. So you have 5 to 6 days to review that, so that if there are any, hey, you missed a closing, or I think that one got adjusted at the last minute, I didn't tell you guys, but I ended up making less money, right? Or something like that, that's fine, but we need to do that because any corrections we need to make need to be made before the end of January, because once we upload the master file to the IRS, any changes after that cost us $50 per change, all right? Which we're going to pass right along to you because we are lean and mean. It's about the way we can do things at $35 a month and $250 a transaction is because we don't waste money paying $50 because you were too lazy to look at your 1099 even though we told you to, right? So that's a little bit of personal responsibility. So I'm just trying to give you as much fair warning on the front side, because you'd be amazed at how big a whiners agents become when you charge them $50, right? They think it's no big deal to separate a seller from $8,000 of their equity. Oh, that's just a given, right? Yeah, 2.5%, 8,000, that's nothing, right? But charge an agent $50 on something, you think you rip their fingernails out, right? Okay, so I'm trying to give you fair warning, right, that it's not our fee, it's just a pass-along fee that the IRS will charge us to do that. Fair enough? Got it? Cool. Vendors, Jerry, what do you got going on?
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to the December meeting. My name is Jerry Papa. I'm the broker-owner of Gulfview Realty Property Management, located in your West Chase office. For so many years, I've actually lost track.
It's a good sign.
And first thing I want to do is I want to introduce Felicia McDowell. She's one of our newest property managers, formerly with a company that you may be familiar with, Future Home Realty.
Ah, very nice.
But now she's crossed over to the dark side.
Yeah, it's dark.
And she's become a full-time Gulfview Realty property manager. And so if you're looking for property management throughout Tampa Bay, think of Gulfview Realty Property Management. We pay referral fees. We provide a systemic approach to property management, and we provide a professional approach to property management. And look no further than Gulfview Realty Property Management, because we provide property management services also to someone that you know very intimately, Bob McDougall.
That's true. They manage my properties. That is right.
Also, at your future home holiday party, and I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes here, and it is not required in any way, shape, or form.
Correct.
As usual, we will have the Metropolitan Ministry barrels at the party for donations, and again, it's not required, but should your heart go that direction, and I know that you have many different ways that you donate, and there are only so many ways that you can donate, but if your heart does go in that direction, we will have the barrels at the party should you want to donate in that direction. And
What do they collect? Is it toys or food or both?
the barrels are there for whether you want to bring a non-perishable food item and or a toy.
Gotcha.
So
for both.
whether you want to bring one non-perishable food item or whether you want to bring a toy, you know, bring whatever you want to bring, or if you don't want to bring anything, that's fine also, but they will be right at the entrance to the party itself, and I just wanted to mention that to you.
Perfect. That's
Also, on your table, the reason you see this flyer is because we had an incident take place recently that I wanted to make you aware of. We had a really, really nice guy, an investor, that we have been managing a couple of his properties, and actually, this guy...
Okay, well, is this a advertising for a home for sale?
Well, it isn't. Yeah, it is and it isn't.
Okay, they'll find it. Is it an MLS? Is it?
No, it's not an MLS.
Okay, all right. We're not going to, because if I went around and said, hey, Joe, tell us about your listings, and then we'll be here forever.
But this guy came to us from a future home agent.
Understand. All right,
And he
so
died-
every one of these
and-
are future
and
home.
he- and he
We're not
died.
going. We're not
But
listing.
he
We're
died.
not talking about listings, Jerry.
Okay.
All right. Thank
All right.
you. All right. Perfect. Awkward. Not so awkward because I don't care. All right. All right. Here we go. Brian, what's up, bro? How are you?
Good.
Got any listings you want to tell us about?
No.
All right. Good deal. All right.
I'm Brian Heckman. I'm with Heckman Mortgage. Hey, so that's what we do. That's what we do.
See, it's in the name, Heckman Mortgage.
More important, there's a gap in all of us and what we do at this time of year with the business plan, which Bob's going to be going over, and then the actual execution and implementation of the business plan in about 45 to 60 days, maybe 90 days if some of us are like really, really disciplined. So, so something that we've kind of noticed, and in my own business I've noticed this, is in that gap of, yay, it's exciting, and then holidays hit, and then maybe if things don't crank up as fast as you want them to in January, you like kind of throw that thing aside and then just get back into like the doldrums of what you've done before. Whether you're a new agent or someone that's trying to like ratchet up the next level, what we're gonna be doing is a group in December that's gonna like kind of jumpstart for January, and it's gonna be pulled into not a business plan, so that's what we're covering today, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Is taking that business plan and then within a pretty efficient manner. So a lot of the stuff's gonna be like online, little, I call them popcorn videos, where it's like 90-second, 3-minute videos, help you actually execute a plan.
Nice.
And then have two things with the people, because the people is the second thing, is targeting the right people, so that you're not targeting the wrong people with strategies. And then at the same token, having the right people around you, right? So I've gone through this and it's like, I eliminate the wrong people, and then I like identify the right people, and then I have to seek them out. And then the last part is actually doing the work. And then my wife corrected me. She's like, no, it's the hard work. Because sometimes we go to like meetings and networking things and we're there, but we're not doing the hard work of, you know, asking the right question. So all of this, if you're interested, is going to be centered on the word evolve. Not evolution. That's not my belief system. I believe in Jesus. But in evolving your business to the consumers. Right? And not just the consumer today, but like what's that consumer going to evolve in 2020 to be like in 2021, so you can have a sustainable business. And Bob loves this stuff because this stuff has all come full circle in real estate, where it's not about buying leads anymore. It's about, the best part is like doing life like the realtors that have been in the business for 20 years, where there was no Zillow and Facebook. So if that's of interest, you can just email team@theheckmangroup.com, team@theheckmangroup.com, or look me up on Facebook. And then we're going to take a very small group of people in December and kind of roll that out, and then really launch that group the first quarter in 2020.
So is that going to be a live session or be online? How are those
It's
going to be?
both. But
Okay.
we found it's very, very difficult to get people to show up live.
Yeah.
So we're just being transparent. I used to want to be like face to face with you guys, to be like, hey, and get to know you, but you're too busy. So you don't want to drive. It's too cold out. I get it. So it's going to be more like video based stuff, because that way if you can't make 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, you can make a video training at some point. So it's more
Perfect.
honestly just help you to get some more deals in the door.
Perfect.
Team, TEAM, @theheckmangroup.com. Theheckmangroup.com.
Heckman, yeah, man, singular. Heckman, not min. Heckmangroup.com.
Thanks for having me.
By the way, let's come following back. I am a client of Jerry's, so that is absolutely true. The reason we highly recommend, well, first of all, we don't allow you to do property management anymore. Some of you have been grandfathered in, and you're allowed to do property management. That's a great thing. Go for it. All right. If you haven't been, if you're trying to join us and then try and do property management, you're going to have a discussion with me and do it. I highly recommend you outsource it to groups like Jerry, and I have a lot of respect for what Jerry's group does in the property management arena, because none of you want to do property management. You just don't want to lose the contact, right? You want the relationship to stay with you, not with, hey, I outsourced it to Century 21. Next thing I know, it's listed with Century 21, and that was my lead, right? Whereas if you do it with Jerry, Jerry will throw that lead back to you when it comes time to list that property, right? And so because of that, you're not fearful of losing. Now, again, you should still maintain that relationship. Plus, you get paid a referral on the side of the property management to begin with, but the lead's still maintained with you yourself, right? So that's a positive, very valuable thing to have. Brian, all right, and it's funny because everybody that we have here, being, again, as a company our size, we get inundated with people who want to be in front of you, talk to you, be affiliated with us so that they can be affiliated with you all the time, right? We closely guard that to make sure that the people that we allow you to hear from, as far as what we call our vendors, are people that actually bringing value, right? That are not just going to be here to, hey, feed me business, but hey, how can I help your business grow, right? And they've proven that over the years to be valuable assets to you and therefore to us. And Brian is certainly one of those, right? He, yes, does mortgages. That's how he gets paid, all right? But he's also of the belief, like he talked about, that when he gives value to you, all right, and it helps your business grow, and you get new deals that you didn't have because now you've got a structured, disciplined, systematic, implemented approach to executing your business plan, not just having a plan, but actually executing it, then hey, you know what? Come time to, hey, do the mortgage or recommend a mortgage company, maybe I should recommend the Heckman team, because that's how he gets paid. He doesn't get paid by helping me get more business if I don't reciprocate that, right? That's what we're all built on, is reciprocation of, team group kind of atmosphere, right? So with that in mind, that's the kind of people we bring to you. And trust me, anything Brian does, he does well. All right? If you've ever been to anything he does, I highly recommend that you tie into it, because we are going to cover some business planning stuff. It's high-level stuff. And when I say high-level, not deep. It's not, again, first, I think I lead with this is simple, okay? Because it is, because it's not rocket science how to plan your business for next year. But implementing it can be difficult, all right? Because that is where, to Stacy's point, the hard work comes along, right? It's easy to talk about doing work. It's hard to actually do the work, right? To actually get up and move. So with that in mind, and it's a lot easier to do when you have a group or even a system that you're following to do that. Cool? All right. Colleen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good?
Colleen B. Bell, Equity National Title. We are not just a title company, we are attorney owned, and we have many different divisions in our group. We do commercial closings, manufactured home closings, residential closings, and we can also handle closing in a trust, an LLC, all that right under one roof. So if you need me, come get my card and love to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Good deal.
Hi.
Janet, we're going to hear more from Janet later.
Yes.
Hey, look, I just noticed, look at your the last 4 digits of your phone number are 1031.
I know, isn't
Look
that
at that.
amazing?
I am
Oh my
telling you.
gosh.
Why wouldn't it be?
Okay, so show of hands, how many people are staying for the class? Come on, more hands.
You need to stay.
That's right.
This is an awesome class.
Yes.
Okay, if you absolutely can't stay, come see me before you leave, and I'll give you my information just so you have it. But I'm Janet Shaw with Old Republic Exchange Company. We're a nationwide qualified intermediary. So, we handle all the states, including the U.S. Virgin Islands and Guam. So if you have a customer that's selling in New York and they're buying in Florida and they need a qualified intermediary, give me a call, I can help. When you talk about Bob finishing strong and adding value and growing your business, 1031 Exchange, it's where it's at.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Good deal. Perfect. We can hear from her later. That's perfect. So here's the deal. Remember that, sometimes you go up against people, oh, they listed with somebody else because they have a team, right? Guess what? You have a team, right? You have a team of people on your side, so you have every bit of team as anybody else who has a team, all right? So don't think that. Plus, you have each other. When you get a chance to join together with other agents and get a chance to meet them, you got people that will cover for you when you're on vacation, things that are here. That's why we still encourage as much as possible. And it is hard to get people in the room. I get that, Brian. But the value of face-to-face contact can never be diminished, right? In 100K, I tell the story about why we encourage people to still hang out with each other, right? And the reason is, and I go through the story of the running. Brian just finished a triathlon, right? Did you have a couple guys that you were kind of training with, right? Valuable, would you say? Right? Have someone there to push you, to motivate you, to get you to go. So you guys know I spend some of my time up in Nashville. So probably 4 or 5 years ago now, I was getting up on a Saturday morning. It was in January. I was headed to a men's Bible study. And those of you who can relate, men's Bible study, it was at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. So I got up about, I was left the house around 5:40. Was going to pop by the coffee shop to get my coffee because the men don't know how to make coffee, right? So the coffee that they serve at a men's Bible study is terrible, right? So I went to go stop by my coffee shop on my way to the men's Bible study to get real coffee so I can endure the Bible study, right? So as I pull out January, I pull out and I look at my, we all have thermometers on our thing. And by the way, wait till you see all the pictures of everybody's dashboard today. We get it, all right? It's 50 degrees, all right? Quit taking pictures of your dashboard, all right? But on my dashboard, I looked down and it was 8, okay? 8 degrees. Cold, right? I love that kind of weather, so it's all right, Good skiing weather, right? It goes, but, so I'm pulling out and I say it's 8, and I pull into where my coffee shop is, and the coffee shop's not in a small strip center. It's kind of one of those larger strip centers, right? And there's a Publix in there and some other things. So it is 5:40 in the morning on a Saturday, and I pull in, and there are like 30 cars parked in the parking lot. I'm like, what in the world? And, I looked around and say, is there a bar in here? Maybe they're just left over from last night, right? You get people kind of hanging out still. And sure enough, like 3 doors down from where my coffee shop is, there's a group of people all huddled around, sitting outside this thing, all like just kind of stomping their feet. I'm like, what in the world, right? So I looked up, and it was a running store. Like, what, is there a sale on, Asics or something? What's going on? Is there a big running shoe sale going on? And I went up to one of them. I said, hey, what's going on? They said, oh, we're getting ready. We're going on a long run today as a group. We have a running group, and we're all going to run the Music City Marathon in March, right? And you know me, I'm always looking for a teaching moment, so I'm thinking, it's January 8th, and they're already preparing for their marathon in March, right? They didn't get up. They're not going to get up in March 14th and say, you know what, let's run the marathon tomorrow, right? You're not going to do that. You have to prepare in advance, right? So they're already preparing, number one. Number two, I guarantee that at 5 a.m., I just asked them, how many people are going to be here? They said, probably about 50 of us are going to go for a long run today. All right, we start at 6. I said, wow, that's great. I'm going to grab my coffee. Have a great day, right? But the reality is that I guarantee at 5 a.m., 50 alarms went off on their phones, on their bedstands, their nightstands, right? And we all have, so our alarms are on our phones now, and the next thing they did was swipe to where? Weather, right? Well, yeah, probably, well, yeah, but they probably swiped to weather and said, it's 8, right? Do you know how many conversations went on in their heads? I guarantee 50, I've run marathons before, and when it's time to do, you need a conversation with yourself, don't you, Brian? It's like, holy smokes, really? My neighbor's, sleeping in. Why would, you know what I mean? And so you're like, it's 8. And for me, it would be like, you know what? There's a treadmill at the Y, all right? And it's about 68 degrees. I could watch Netflix while I do my long run, right? It'd be a lot easier to do that at about 10 a.m. I could just kind of turn over right now and go catch a run later on, right? I guarantee 50 conversations were had in their heads, yet they all showed up. Why? They didn't want to be the one to let the group down. And there's the power of the group, right? When you got an accountability group that you're working with, therein, it forces you to do things you wouldn't normally do, or things that, hey, I might be tempted to otherwise take a shortcut. I'm not going to take that shortcut. So I'm going to continue to encourage you to find ways to do that. We get a company our size, it's hard to get everybody together, right? I get that. But we do have people that have set up smaller groups, all right? Churches have discovered this, right? That a huge mega church of 8,000 people, right? It's hard to get to know everybody's middle name. Agreed? But when I'm in a life group together with you, with 10 others of you, now I can get to know your kids' names, your grandkids' names, your middle name, when your birthday is, things you like, the kind of coffee you like, do you like cream in sugar or only cream, all that kind of stuff, where I can't know that about 8,000, right? So with that in mind, I'm going to constantly remind you that it's imperative and very helpful to have a group that you can connect with, right? Because sometimes, and by the way, it's not just this business, life is hard, right? And so if life is hard, you need to find some people that you can commune with that will help you dig through that on a bigger basis. Fair enough? All right? Has nothing to do with anything I was planning on sharing, but it hit me when we talked about face-to-face. And I get it, and it's easier. People are at home right now watching us in their fuzzy bunny slippers right now, sitting at home. And I get that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just telling you that there's value in being able to come and see people face-to-face, all right? And we don't want to lose that. By the way, our newest generation are learning that again. As much as you think that they're tied into the phone, they think, you know what? They still value, when I say Gen Z, right? My son's Gen Z, right? What's that? Yeah, right, exactly, right? It's like, it's coming full circle where people want to still be around other people, right? And you should do it. By the way, you guys know at Chick-fil-A, if you go to most Chick-fil-A's at least, they have baskets there. If you go there as a family and everybody agrees to put their phone in the basket and set the basket aside, at the end of dinner, then they'll give you free ice cream, all right, for the whole family, because you've decided to not. You see it all the time, right? People are sitting at the table across from each other. I'm like, holy smokes, man. Are you texting each other? Did you guys know you could talk? All right, they're right there. It's like, how are you? How are you? Right? Okay, you know what? Anyway. So I'm going to encourage you all these things that we can do. Fair enough? All right. Good. Speaking of real thing hit me with the 1099 stuff. Because of that, when you have closings at the end of this year, okay, right at the very end, you need to get them to us right away, because we know about them, or should know about them, right? That's what paperless pipeline is for, right? But in the event that something gets pushed back or whatever, remember that if the closing occurred, even though it was scheduled to close on December 31st, if it closes on January 3rd instead, that goes to 2020's income, right? Because we are a cash basis as far as that concerned. We don't accrue. So whenever the closing occurred is when we set the cutoff date. So if you had something that closed on December 31st, on or before, we should have it no later than January 10th anyway, to make sure we're good to go. Cool? All right? I know that paperwork kind of stuff is kind of boring. So Brian mentioned it. Here's the deal. We have to always cover this, because everybody covers business planning. Now, here's the thing. When we're business planning for 2020, right, the reality is by the way, did you see that? That's a picture. That's an actual flyover. When they did that, that was at the Lincoln Memorial. All right, and they come up from behind it, and then they do this starburst, kind of cool. All right, our military is badass. I am telling you, all right? There are others, all right, that are, but I like our military, all right? I'll stick with them. And if I had to bet, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on ours against other people. So, where was I going to go? Oh, so on business planning, here's the thing, is that there's nothing new under the sun. I'm not going to show you anything that other people haven't shown you, but I want to talk about how, where is it? Long way home. Must be in a. You guys know what that picture of, by the way? You know what that picture is? Anybody? Yeah, isn't that cool? Breaking the sound barrier. That's a picture of a plane breaking the sound barrier. Isn't that awesome? Okay, that is that's amazing to think about. You know what is occurring there, right? So it's doing that. So here's the thing. We're going to reverse engineer. Anytime that anybody worth their salt teaches you how to business plan, right? Now realize this. I'm going to show you kind of overall view, and then I'm going to show you a method that you can, just a formula you can follow to kind of plug your numbers in. Now, I will be the first to admit that this is just a plan. What you need to do is take this, once you've thought this through, then go to something like Brian's offering and say, look, how do I do it now, right? Just because I have a plan doesn't mean it's done. A plan is just a map, and a map is great, all right, but a map doesn't move me, right? It shows me where to go, but it takes effort on my part to actually take the step, right? That's one of the habits that we have to create in From the Richest Man in Babylon, or for the, the greatest salesman in the world, right? Is it says a map, no matter how perfectly intricate in detail, will never carry its holder over one step of ground, right? So having the map does nothing, but it actual physically taking the step is what it's due. So let's help you build the map first. We're going to reverse engineer. You guys know what reverse engineering is? All right? Okay? Reverse engineering is why I'm on a military kick or something. If one of our military helicopters is ever shot down, all right, and they know that the enemy's coming and they're going to be captured, what are they taught to do? Blow that thing up, all right? Scuttle it, boom, blow that bad boy up, because they don't want their technology into the hands of the enemy, who therefore can then reverse engineer it. They'd be a lot further along. They could try and figure out, hey, how do they make a helicopter that can do all these things? We could be a lot further into the process if we could just take the end and reverse engineer it and see if we can make one our own, right? So they blow these things up so they don't have that technology. Same thing here. What we're going to do is take the end. It's a Covey's, one of 7 habits, start with the end in mind, right? Is we're going to start with the end, and we're going to reverse engineer down to what am I going to do today that's going to help me achieve what I want to end up with. Fair enough? All right? We'll go through this quick, and you can email me if you want the slides later on. Okay, so here's the thing, that these things only work when you give it something to talk to. All right, so what's the process, all right? It's that simple. I told you that was the first bullet point. Okay, it is that simple. We're not going to overcomplicate this thing. If you think it's, all right, you could go take an 8-hour course on business planning, all right? I get it. That's great. It's not that hard. All we're going to do is, okay, take the end and break it down to a step-by-step and get it to its lowest common denominator, right? What are we going to figure out how to do, all right? Now, I start with this. I read this years ago. I think it was from a Norman Vincent Peale book, right? If you haven't read any Peale, read Peale. Peale is awesome. Norman Vincent Peale, P-E-A-L-E. He started writing in the 1930s, right? He was a pastor of a church in New York. Kind of got criticized from the Christian community because he was too positive, right? That they were like, hey, man, you're talking about, victorious stuff too much. You got to talk about the doldrums. You got to talk about how hard, things, well, and life is hard. That's okay, but we can still overcome, right? So he talks about this. He calls it the 8 Ps. I love this. You're going to plan purposefully. You're going to prepare prayerfully. You're going to proceed positively. and you're going to pursue persistently, right? Those are quality 8 Ps right there, all right? Now, when we plan, though, let's plan purposefully. Let's not just check a box. Let's not just say, hey, I'm going to do a business plan because I was told I have to do a business plan, right? Going to do a bit. I'll tell you this. I am learning every year as I go through the budgeting process, right, to get better and better data. And my data that I have allows me to be a much better planner, right? So I can therefore really hone in and try and make my budget as truly reflect what is actually happening, not just oh, I hope it all works out kind of thing, but there's a method to where I'm attacking, right? There's a reason why I'm doing it. And so when we do that, when we plan with a purpose, I'm going to highly encourage you to not just kind of check a box on this, to really sit down and think, okay, what am I trying to achieve here? And if this is going to be a roadmap, now again, roadmaps change, right? We have to recalculate sometimes, right, Raphael, right? We talked about recalculating, right, and how to adjust. There are times when we miss a turn, and it says, hey, next, do a U-turn, do a U-turn, do a U-turn, do a U-turn, and then pretty soon, if we get far enough, it says, all right, I'm just going to recalculate and take you a different way, right? You've already missed too many. But if we can have a map, pay attention, so if we do need to recalculate at times, we can. Those are the adjustments we can make, all right? So, okay, begin with the end in mind. You know, I obviously stuck on this military theme and 100K net, all right? The reason I like 100 grand is because it's kind of a differentiator. Puts you in about the top 7% of realtors out there. If you can net $100,000 a year in real estate, you choose a number, okay? It doesn't matter. Realize this. Your numbers are going to be different than what I'm going to share, but I'm just going to give you a formula. The beauty of math is once you know the formula, you can plug in your numbers and it still works, right? And so the formula is going to give you an example of how we're going to do this. So let's say we want to net 100 grand, okay? I'm going to encourage you to understand your expenses. Let's say, and by the way, the more you track your data, you will continue to know what your true expense percentages are. But if you don't have anything, you're going to have to guess. A good way to do this, I get this question. I taught this yesterday online, right? Brian, not face-to-face. I taught this online, and a couple people in the class, well, if I don't know my expense percentage, where would I do? Go to your tax return, right? Your tax return, if you're incorporated, should have a business tax return. If you're not incorporated, has a Schedule C in there, right? Which is basically your P&L for your company, all right? Your real estate business. And your Schedule C will have gross income minus a bunch of expenses to net income. That's all a Schedule C is on your tax return, right? It's a P&L, profit and loss. So it takes your gross profit, takes away deductions, and you're left with a net income, and that's what you're going to call taxable income as far as the IRS is concerned. Go there and say, hey, look, hey, I grossed 60. I had $10,000 in expenses. 10 divided by 60 gives me 16% or whatever that is for an expense ratio, and you would know there. So start there and then track it better this year so you can fully understand, right? That's why having a budget's important. But let's say that I know my expenses are right around 20%, and that includes things like your broker fee, right, the amount that you pay us, the MLS fees, board dues, advertising expenses, your car, auto expenses, all that kind of stuff would be things that we consider. Let's just go with the assumption that we know it's going to run us about 20% of the gross to run our business, all right? Now, this one, I try to think of a way that I could say this, right? But basically, just divide by the reciprocal of your expense amount, all right? The reciprocal of your expense amount is, think of it this way. Take 100% minus your 20%, you're left with 80%, okay? That's the reciprocal of it, if you want to think of it that way, all right? So you go to 80%, divide by 80%. So I know that if I want to truly net 100 grand, then I go 100 grand divided by 0.8, right, is 125. You can do the math. Another way to look at that, take 125, multiply that times 80%, and you get 100 grand, right? So that tells you how much I need to gross. Fair enough? All right, so I want to gross 125. Again, this is not rocket science, even though it looks like it's jet science, but it's not, okay? All right, this is the amount we need to gross. What's our goal? Remember, it's 125 grand. What's your average gross income? Okay, gross commission income on a deal is $4,000. I don't know. All right, what's yours? You should know that, not me. Right? Yours might be 6. Yours might be 8. Yours might be 3. Right? Doesn't matter, but you don't lie to yourself here. Okay? Oh, I'd like it to be. All right? If you are in a situation where you're selling a bunch of $180,000 homes, right? And I know you want to make it where you're selling $480,000 homes. I get that. Totally with you. Right? 100% agree. Don't lie to yourself. If your average is 180, that's okay. What you learn to see is we put 180 into because that's reality, right? We're not going to lie. We put 180 in there, and then if I sell a $360,000 home, that's like selling 2, right? Because it's 2 180s. Are you with me? Okay? So that's the way to do it. You don't want to sit there, boy, I really would love to up my percentages or my average sale price. Great. That's a great, admirable goal. But do it while you're being realistic, and then just use, $200,000 as your base or whatever it is, right? And then say, hey, if I sell a $400,000 home, then that's 200s. Or if I sell a $600,000 home, that's 3 200s. That's like selling 3 homes. I get it. That's great. Are you with me there? Yes? Okay. So let's say I just put in there 4. So how many transactions do I need? We're done with it. We're not going to calculus here. All right? This is 3rd grade math. 125,000 divided by 4,000 average commission gets me 31.25 transactions needed. 31.25. Everybody agree to that? All right? You can check my math later. It's there. Divide this by 12, because I'm just going to take my annual and break it down into a monthly goal. All right? Everybody with me there? In case you know where I get 12? Why 12? Yeah, there you go. You guys are, okay, I'm just making sure you're on your toes. 12 months in a year. All right, stay with me. 31.25 divided by 12 is 2.604 deals a month. All right? That's what I need. Let's call it 3. Let's round it up. Let's overachieve and call it 3. Are you with me so far? Your numbers are going to be different, yes? You want to gross $280,000 and your average commission is $7,000, right? 280 divided by 7, now you're at, whatever that, 40, right? 40 deals that you need. Whatever the number is, okay? But don't lie to yourself. 31.253 a month. Now we got to figure out, okay? So that's great. So we took 125,000, 100,000 net. Now we decided we need to do 3 a month, okay? Seems a little more doable. Right now you see 31.25. Sometimes people panic at 31.25 transactions, but you realize that's only 3 a month. If you've ever sold 3 in a month, that means you can sell 3 a month, right? Samuel, I've been working with my son Samuel about standing up tall, staying strong, keeping your chest out, all right? Right? And he doesn't do it sometimes, and I say, but then I say, do it, Samuel, think, and he does it. I said, well, the problem is, it's not that you can't do it, it's just that you're choosing not to do it, right? So it's not that you can't sell 3 a month, it's just that you're choosing not to. You don't know. I say, I get it. I'm just telling you, if you've ever done it, it can be done, right? So we've got to figure out, is it physical or is it mental? Most of the time it's mental, right? So we got to figure out, how do we break through those barriers, all right? So now, what drives our business? Let's say that we know, because we should, where our business comes from, right? And if you don't, start making some assumptions and adjust from those assumptions, right? Let's say that I know that 67%, roughly 2/3 of my business comes from what we call lead generating events. Lead generating events are opportunities to meet new people, all right? Could be anything. Open houses is a popular one. Could be other opportunity, networking events, whatever the case may be, right? Could be all sorts of different things, but 2/3 of it comes from that. By the way, another way to think of this is brand new people that I don't know this year, right? People who don't know me at all right now, all right? For me, it was closer to 100% of my business was from people that I didn't know, but that's different for everybody. So that's the way to look at it. Okay, so lead generating events, somehow I got to meet enough people that I'm going to sell 67% or 2/3 of my business has to come from that. What does that mean? Okay, the other part is introductions from others. Okay, those are referrals. People that pass leads, people that know me, people that already have a relationship with me or that have done business with me are going to refer me other business. Let's say I've looked at my numbers from last year and about 1/3 of my business comes from there. Are you with me so far? Yours might be flip-flopped. Ideally, they would be, right? The more people you can get from, hey, look, just new sources, existing sources, the better, right? But again, don't lie to yourself. Just make sure your numbers are true. Every month, remember, how many transactions do I need a month? 3. If 2/3 of the business is going to come from lead-generating events, what's 2/3 of 3? 2, right? I need 2 transactions a month from new lead-generating sources, and I need 1 deal a month coming from a referral from a trusted resource. Now, again, yours might be flip-flopped. You might need 8 transactions a month. I don't know. Your numbers are your numbers, all right? But all we're doing is breaking down this big goal of $125,000 gross and breaking it down into what do I need to do this week, right? What do I need to do today to achieve my goal, right? Because when we start to break it down to bite-sized pieces, it becomes real doable in a hurry, all right? So let's do the work. Every time I do a lead-generating event, let's say it's an open house, I find that I need half a buyer. What does that mean? It means on average, right, I get every 2 open houses, I find 1 legitimate buyer. Now, if you want to know what a buyer is, go listen to the 100K sessions. We talk about 4 things that qualify a buyer, right? Okay, a buyer that wants to steal a home, and if you can find me something at 60% off, of market value, let me know. Not a buyer. Okay, buyer that says, hey, I might buy in the next decade, not a buyer. A buyer that says, you know what, I couldn't get a library card yesterday. I got declined for that. Do you think I can get a mortgage? Not a buyer, all right, okay. And what else? Oh, somebody that says, hey, you know what, I don't know. I kind of like renting. I like the flexibility. I like to be able to be, I don't like to be tied down, right? Okay, great. There are people out, super, not a buyer, right? Good. Yeah, but they signed in. So I'm going to send them 48 follow-up emails, 32 texts, and 4 personal power notes signed to somebody that doesn't want to buy. Okay, you know why you do that? It's because you want to feel like you're busy and you can tell you're doing something. There's a difference between busy and being money-making, right? You want to be money-making. So let's focus on that. Fair enough? All right, so I'm going to keep working till I can find 2 qualified buyers. So if I meet a half a buyer each time I do one, okay, this is not rocket science. Fair enough to say that I need to do 4 open houses? Because 4 open houses are going to, if every 2 I find 1, so I did 2 and I got 1. I did another 2 and I got another 1. Now I'm at my 2. All right? So now I have a plan. I just need to do 4 open houses this month. Okay? Fair enough? Now, are your numbers going to be the same as what I'm doing here? No. All right? Be truthful and honest about your numbers. Then the other thing I found out is that every time I speak to 15 people, all right, that know, like, and trust me, when I say speak to them, all right, I'm just go call them up, have a coffee with them, have a lunch, do something, right? Every time I speak to 15 of them, I get a referral. I get an introduction to somebody who wants to buy. I don't know why it is. It just works, right? When I go out and we say, hey, Renee, let's just go out and have a cup of coffee. And by the way, how's your life going? Life's going great. Hey, we're chit-chatting. Hey, you know what? I really got to run. Everything good? Everything's great. Oh, by the way, Bob, I forgot to, you know what? My sister-in-law just called me yesterday, and her supervisor at work has a niece that's moving into town. It's the way it works. Notice I did not say, hey, by the way, you know what, I'm glad we had coffee, and by the way, let me get my script out. If you or anybody you know is looking to buy or sell real estate, I really would appreciate the introduction. I value referrals more than anything else in life. Okay, you guys have been taught to do that. Throw that away. Crumple it up, burn it, whatever it is. Get rid of that dialogue, right? Get rid of it. Just go be you, give value to them, and when you give value to them, they will reciprocate it every time. May take a while, may not be it's not every time, right? 15, I told you it's going to take 15 talk tos to get to somebody. That 15 cups of coffee? Maybe. 15, but probably not. Could be just, hey, pick up the phone. I was just thinking about you, just checking in. How is life going on? You stay in touch with people, but you stop being offensive and every time you talk to them mentioning real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. It's like buy or sell, buy or sell, buy or sell. All right? Screw that, all right? It's like you running from the people at the store that you're just like, I just want to look at shirts on my own. Thank you. All right? I'm okay. All right? I know where your cash register is. I'll come find you. Right? You wonder why we do so much shopping online, because we don't want to be hounded. Right? Wonder why people go to Zillow, because they don't want to be hounded by you. Right? They want to search anonymously, they think. And they get 48 phone calls in the next minute. Hey, I saw you were on Zillow. Hey, I saw you on Zillow. Saw you on Zillow. I was on Zillow. I'm a premier agent. I paid $10,000 this month to be that. All right? Okay? Beware. All right? So, every time I speak to 15 in the right manner, I get one introduction. Whether it's them or a friend of their family or the supervisor's niece or whatever it is, I end up with a lead, right? That I can work. So, fair enough that I need one transaction a month because I need 2 from lead generating, from open lead generating events, right? Open house type things. And I need 1 from introduction. So there's my 3. So in essence, does it see how it pretty much just boils down to that if I want to make $125,000 and end up netting $100,000, all I have to do is sit 4 open houses a month and have 15 cups of coffee a month? It's that, well, come on, it's that simple once you know your numbers. Okay, I'm just telling you, you guys just don't do it, all right? The reality is there are numbers for you that work in this scenario. Now, are you really bad at converting people at open houses? Maybe. If you are, it might take 10 open houses to find 2. Okay? I don't care, so do 10, right? What else are you doing? Sitting down typing very 4-page diatribes on why the MLS waiver sucks, right? Okay? Get off of that, deal with it, and move on, right? Are you with me? All right? Quit complaining, start working, and just go make something happen, right? So then I get my 3 transactions. So what I just did. So I took this big goal of $125,000. It's going to put me in the top 7% of realtors across the country. And I found out that I just have to hit 4 open houses and have 15 cups of coffee. Because when I do that, I'm going to get my 2 buyers from the open houses. I'm going to get my 1 buyer or what a lead, could be a listing, a lead from, by the way, does somebody have part of their model? Could this part of your model be, I'm going to make 428 phone calls to expireds to get my 2 listings? It could be part of your model, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want, one of the people on the class yesterday loves making expireds and FSBO calls. Great. I said, well, how many do you do? Well, I had 360 talk-tos and I got 2 listings. I said, great. If that's an effective use of your time, then you need to do that. How long did it take you to do that? Well, actually, 360 talk-tos was 800 phone calls to get 360 talk-tos to get to 2 listings. I said, okay, fair enough. He goes, and one of the listings already expired. It's not really. I said, okay, well, again, track it. By the way, I'm not poo-pooing anything that she was doing because at least she was doing, right? She was actually doing something I say, hey, look, if that's a model you've chosen and you're comfortable with, go with it, but track it to make sure it's effective because we don't want to do something and have a plan that doesn't work, right? We want to make sure we're tying into somebody like Brian that's going to help us make it work or show us that it's not so we can make the adjustments needed, right, to get it to work. Are you with me? So don't just follow a path for the sake of following a path. But when I did this, man, actually we overachieved because really we only needed 2.604 transactions a month and we ended up doing 3. And that can add up. That extra 0.4 transactions a month over 12 months actually adds up to some extra money. So we ended up grossing 144, and after we paid our expenses, ended up netting 115 in this case, which puts us in the top 3.7% of realtors. Sounds good, right? It's about that range, somewhere in there. Cool? All right? Now, finish the process. Here's what we're going to talk about Brian. The plan is just to start, right? Having a plan, that's great. This literally, if you do it purposefully, will still only take you an hour, all right? If you know your numbers, you can go through that in an hour, all right, and just bang that out. Plan is just to start. Next, you have to implement, all right? George Patton, you guys heard the quote? George Patton says a good plan executed today is far better than a perfect plan never executed, right? You guys are too busy sitting there planning your next perfect plan, right? Stop waiting for perfect plan. Go with a good plan and see how it's working out for you and just adjust along the way. Call some audibles as you go. The other thing to realize is this doesn't take any special software, right? I know you're getting inundated with, you think it does, right? All these salespeople that, by the way, a guy caught me. I almost never answer a call I don't recognize. And I thought for sure this was a familiar number, all right? So I picked it up, and you hear all the chatter in the background, right? I was like, hey, dude, my bad. I shouldn't have answered, right? And he's like, no. You got to realize I'm not trying to sell you anything. I said, well, okay, let's stop there, okay? I said, don't lie to me. I said, let's not exacerbate this problem by lying to me, right? He's like, well, what are you talking? I said, because I'm really not here to sell you anything. I said, I hear all that chatter in the background. How are those people getting paid? It's like, well, I said, somebody's making money. So is somebody just like altruistic calling people? You just call them, wish me a good day, and someone's paying you to do that? And he's like, well, no. And I said, so here's the other thing. You know what? If you do catch me on the phone, don't lie to me. All right? Say, look, I got something I think you might want to buy, and I might say no. All right? But let's be honest with you. All right? So that being said, you're going to get inundated with people wanting to sell you the latest, greatest technique, the latest, greatest software program, the latest, greatest, if you use this leather planner, all right, then this will set your business apart, right? That spiral notebook thing, no. You know what? No one's going to take you seriously there. You need the leather bound, right? None of that, all right? Go with a spiral notebook and make your business plan. Put it on an iPad and make your business plan. Whatever works for you, but don't go out trying to spend money to try and figure this stuff out, at least this part of it, right? This part can just be done very simply, very effectively, and very quickly if you set your mind to do it, right? With the idea that I'm going to do it with those 8 P's in mind, all right? So you got to implement, all right? You have to be accountable, all right? Brian's going to be accountability in your group that you'll be working with, okay? It's usually it, right? Because that's the big differentiator. That's what gets us out of bed to run when it's 8 degrees, right? Is not because we want to do that, but because we're accountable to somebody. The best accountability groups or partners I've ever seen work together are ones that are willing to write each other checks and say, hey, look, if I don't show up or I don't do what I say I'm going to do, you can cash that check, right? It's, problem is when you're not accountable and they start cashing the checks keep bouncing, right? Because he's like, hey, we're kind of going backwards. But the reality is that when there's some skin in the game, when somebody is not just going to listen to your bull and just kind of pat you on the hand and say, hey, that's okay, I know you tried, right? Okay? Yoda says there is no try, only do. Right? And that's fair enough, right? Trying doesn't get us paid. Doing gets us paid. Are you with us? Right? So we got to have accountability, all right? You got to follow up. Okay, we got to monitor our progress, right? I'm not going to go to the slide again, but the trip to the moon slide, it's the reevaluation, it's the recalculating slide that we talked about in the past, is that do not set this plan in place, right? Say, okay, it's pretty simple. 4 open houses, 15 coffees, right? Or talk tos, whatever you want to call them, right? Then I get paid, right? It's it. It's all I have to do. Well, problem is you get busy with life and kids' soccer pops up and next thing you know, and Johnny got sick and boy, I was supposed to do an open house on this Saturday, but you know what? Did you realize that it's the SEC championship game? And did you, all these things pop in the way. And next thing you know, you look at it after half a year, and in half a year, you should have 24 open houses done, right? 4 times 6. And you realize you've done 2. It's, like, oh, man, right? What happened? Whereas if I had stopped myself after week 1 and say, hey, I'm supposed to have an open house this week and I didn't do it, I better do 2 next week to catch up so I'm back on track. We got to monitor it often enough so we can make small adjustments more often to catch ourselves before we get too far behind. Because once you get too far behind, you start to lose momentum and you get very discouraged as opposed to encouraged. Those of you in the book club, you guys remember we talked about Covey says, how are you going to make changes, right? And the way we make changes, by the way, if you guys want to join our book club, we'll come back. It's usually on Tuesdays, right? Is when we do Tuesdays, 10 a.m. It's a virtual book club. But we're taking a break for the holidays, and we'll pick back up. We finished 2 books in the last 2 months, basically. It's a great time. We have some assigned reading, and we just kind of chat about what we learned, right? But one of the things Covey taught us is that in principle-centered leadership is that set small goals and reach them, okay, often. Because when you get the momentum of knocking off a goal set and accomplished, it becomes a habit. And once you start saying, hey, you know what, I'm trustworthy in small things, therefore I can be trustworthy in big things. And I'll be honest with you, when people ask you, how did you convert so many people at open houses? It's because I knew that I had what they needed and that I trusted myself, right? It's like, who else would they follow, right? Who else is sitting here at a HUD foreclosure open house on a Saturday morning at 9:30, right? The lazy people are still sleeping. So who would you want to work with? Why wouldn't you want to work with me, right? That's kind of, and when I set that and started to do it, my mind began to shift, and it became a mentality that, boy, you know what? And it pretty soon, it exudes off of you. It's like it smells, all right? Good habits smell and bad habits smell, right? All right? One smells better than the other, and one's more attractive. One's perfume, the other is garbage, but they both have an odor, right? And so are we attracting, are we compelling people to do business with us, or are we repelling them from doing business with us, right? And our actions speak that way. That's why I make Samuel stand up tall with his chest out, all right? Because it matters. If you think it doesn't, it does. I'm sorry, all right? Nobody wants to do business with a schlub, right? It is. Look it up, schlub, all right? I don't know how to spell it, so you got to. There might be an SC. If you the German version, SCHLUB, and just the Americanized version is SHLUB. All right, but nobody wants to do business with schlubs. So let's do business with people that expect perfection in themselves. Fair enough? Okay. After we make the adjustments, after we see what we need to adjust, we actually do the adjustments. All right. It's one thing to recognize the adjustment. It's another thing to actually do it. Okay. And if you do this, I am telling you, I am not kidding about setting yourself in the upper 10%, okay? Probably in the upper 3%. Brian, you've taught a lot of classes, right? What percentage do you think actually implement what you teach? 2%? I'd say, yep, okay? Very small. But those that do, and by the way, Brian teaches different than I do. In most stuff, if you actually implemented, if you went to class on how to call for sell by owners on a consistent basis, well, yeah, you go to Bold, right? They would teach you that, right? Okay, all right. But if you did that, and if you were willing to dial until your fingers bled, right? I guarantee you get business. You really would, right? Just a matter of choosing the one that works for you and that you want to do. But they all work if you actually implement them. Brian, go ahead.
So you referenced me a couple times. So
Yeah, please. I mean, it's time.
So on the work thing that you just mentioned, like doing the actual work, I think there's also, like, it's just super important.
Can you hear
whether
him?
it's the stuff that we're doing or somebody else. But I think, like, number one, and I would like write this stuff down as you're going through this process in your own business, is like you have to look at what you're actually doing when you're doing the work, right? So, like, Joe's a great example. So Joe goes to an open house, and he works an open house like over and over and over. And so we partnered up with some technology where he's not just working open houses, and I know you say this, but
Yeah.
like I joke about this with people, and this is my line direct to consumer. Hey, XYZ, whatever it is, right? We have a process for this, Joe, that you've started to go through. That worked really, really well 10 years ago. Mr. Potential Home Buyer, Home Seller, worked out awesome 10 years ago. But when we evolve our business, and that's the key phrase, when we evolve our business, that no longer works. Because psychologically, what we're doing, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, is you're discrediting every other realtor that they're going to bump into when they're like, oh yeah, just fill out this form and check in at the open house. That's the norm. You're not even in the same direction as that. You're, in Joe's case, giving them a pretty simple technology that now all of a sudden, like, we're all tethered. I guarantee every single one of you guys has checked your phone in the last hour. So now Joe is pinging them and he's tethering them to Joe and his technology. And it's getting more and more refined, Joe, probably, in like what he's saying in the moment. Because our biggest opportunity right now as we evolve is like what we're saying. It's not just an app. Like, show of hands, who has an app right now that's for real estate that's awesome, that's producing? 2 people, 3. Okay, so like, not to be offensive, but like, it's about to be 2020. If you don't have an app, you're screwed. You need to get an app because that's what people want. So like, this is just one example. So my point with that is like the work that you're doing, so many realtors are going to go out and do the work and then get really frustrated 90 days in because it's not working. Because just opening the door and being in an open house or being in a networking function, that stuff worked awesome 10 years ago. It doesn't work, right? So we got to do different things and use different technologies and scripts, processes, whatever. Make sense? So that's one big thing. And then just on the accountability, and then I'll be quiet.
No,
I'm like
no.
passionate about this stuff because you guys are showing up in December when it's cold out.
Yeah.
So anybody come to our stuff last December, like the week before Christmas? We had some little tiny little groups. They sold out every time. And then we opened up new ones, and we had people get upset and it was like, we did it the week before Christmas because it's like, we get angst, don't we? We're like, oh, I'm so busy. And then like things slow down and we freak out because they slow down. So like these are the weeks right here that it's just like crucial. You can put some awesome stuff in place. But like that accountability piece, I was talking with a peer of mine in a different market. I was telling the story about this Ironman triathlon, and I hate accountability. We all hate accountability. So one big piece that we found is we have to have the people, and I realized it was a buddy of mine, Tom Russell, who had done like 8 of these things, and I was telling my buddy the story with breakfast. He's like, dude, you don't need accountability. You guys just need a Tom Russell. That's what you are, Brian. Just go be a Tom Russell. I was like, because he would text me, hey, how's it going? Hey, did you do the work? And so a piece of what I found in my brain, my business last year was, I can't rely on Bob or Joe or Sally to keep me accountable. If I can learn to be accountable myself, it's game over. And I've struggled for years in coaching groups, guys. I spent like $1,800 a month in coaching groups. And it was like my coach wouldn't even ask me the hard stuff, which is like, you said you were going to cut 3 videos today. Did you send 3 videos today? Yes or no? Well, no.
Yeah.
3 videos, dude. And the minute that we put that in a format that I got to look at it in a systematic way, game change. Whether you want to close 1 more deal a year, you can do all your math. We talked about this like 3 months ago. 1 more deal a year at a $200,000 price point is $6,000. So then I got to back up and be like, if I had $6,000 right now to buy extra Christmas gifts for my kids, for my spouse, for my friends, what would that look like? And now all of a sudden it's not 1 more deal. It's like a bad to the bone Christmas. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden so I'll share with you some of the forms and if it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's all in a book format so that I know for me, I got forms out my
Backside.
and I'm like, Joe, I'm like, what? I want Trello, I want Evernote, I want it all digitally. But then for me and for most people, it's like, boom, I get into the book and everything changes. So the work and that accountability piece can totally change. I just want to really, really encourage you because like this is the stuff that changes businesses. This is the stuff.
It's so right, all right? Because knowing, and what I thought of when you said, what's that guy's name?
Tom Russell.
Tom Russell, right? So Tom Russell wasn't even necessarily accountability. He was more of a mentor, right? The best accountability person to have or mentor to have is somebody that's done it, right? Brian's trying to run his first Ironman triathlon, which he's already done. But did he go to somebody, hey, look, let's try and do triathlons together? No. Hey, let me go to the source. Let me go to somebody that has the fruit on the tree. Let me go to somebody, you know what? Let me go to Brian, who has helped other agents do what I'm trying to do. All right? Why not go there, right? Why not go to somebody that has done it, right? And here's the other thing, and this is where I have found why the 2% actually implement, okay? Okay. I say don't take this personally, but take it personally. All right? Here's the reality. You guys are whiners. Right? I am. I whine too, right? I really do. Right? Nobody likes, what's the word you like? The discipline of regret versus, what's that line?
Pain of discipline or
Yeah.
pain of regret.
Yeah. You can have a pain, right? It's either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, right? Now, I'm not saying, by the way, everybody has a different vision of what success is. I'm not here to try and tell you that 100 grand, if you don't make 100 grand, we do look at you. Because here's the beauty of our model, quite frankly, is with a $4,000 annual cap, there's not a whole lot of difference between somebody that does 3 deals a year and somebody that does 80 deals a year, right? So don't think that we look at you differently or we judge people. I want to judge you based upon what you tell us you want to do. But don't tell me you want to do something and then not back it up with the pain of discipline, right? Good more? Yeah.
Just when you have this plan put together, the other piece about having that, I've got mentors and coaches and all this.
Yeah.
The difference was, homeboy Tom Russell is like my buddy. He's
Yeah.
my homie. He's my bud. So that he cared at like a super deep level. So when we do that, what we find out is I crush myself because my goals are set so high every year. Like literally, I'm gonna 10x my business, like Grant Cardone says.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant Cardone, it all goes to the activities. You have to literally have massive activities to really do what you want to do. And then if you read his book, you're a big coaching guru guy, I'll try and sell you all sorts of crap. But it's like, you have to have massive activity, and it's way more than what you really think. It's not as easy as, hey, I convert 50% of my leads or whatever. I tried all that. So when you do like massive activity, what you're gonna find out is you're gonna fail. So like every year, I would literally crush myself. That's my story. 45 days in, I'm like, I'm a loser. And then I talked to somebody on the phone up here, and he's crushing it. And he was actually lying. He wasn't being honest about it. I'm being honest. I'm just being real. And then I would crush myself, and I'd bring it home to my family, my wife. I'd come home and I was deflated because I had to do 85 things that day, and I just didn't because life came up. And so this is the other piece. Like even if you put the plan together and did just like 20%, like you'll start to have this. You'll be one of the people that Bob's interviewing in here of like, how did you do it? And that person's going through the same thing of like, it wasn't that hard actually. And we're like, what? They didn't do all their work. So like, just be careful to not beat yourself up mentally, even if you just do a tiny percent of it.
100% agree. 100% agree. Right? And it's the reality is if you're gonna, tell yourself the truth, right? And be honest with yourself, right? That's the key. And like Brian was being honest, obviously his other partner that was crushing it wasn't being honest, right? So you got to be honest with anybody that you're going to be in relationship with to do that. Fair enough? Questions we can answer. Brian's a great resource here, by the way, right? Because he's going to give you some really cool apps, things that people are looking for. Question?
That was my question. You talked about paper and apps, and one of your previous classes, you were talking about this app, the sticky app, where people keep coming back. What is that exactly? Is it something I have to design for myself, or is it like a home?
Yeah. So send me an email, right? Just send me an email on it. But like, and talk with Joe. Joe might be a good source because he's actually starting to implement that stuff into the business. And that's the key thing. Like, it's just crazy noisy. And like, let's just be real. I'm trying to get your attention too, right? But my thing is, if I can help you get a deal where Joe's like, holy cow, you just helped me lock somebody in. Like it's an easy win for us. But that's my argument is like, if you have an app that you got to go set up, you're not going to do it because neither am I. So the number 2 sales agent on a top 5 team in Tampa, you would know the team if I mentioned them. You all know the name of this team. Number 2 agent on that team drove 45 minutes to come to our office, spent 2 hours with us, left and was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Later that week, called my office. Hey, can I come back again next week? Because I drove back under 45 minutes, spent 2.5 hours, and he just sat back. He's like, that little thing, how you just explained that's going to help me crush it and get more listings. And I was like, yeah, you get it. He's like, but you don't make any money on listings. I know. And we have $1.2 million in the pipeline with him 45 days later. 3 different transactions. So like, we get it. It's like, that's why we do that. Okay. So the point is we can use, and this is my thing of like, I call it 1-degree shifts. Don't use that app. If it's not producing, stop using it. What about if you use this? Here's what the number 2 sales agent on the top 5 team in Tampa is doing, and it's working pretty dang well for him. Maybe just follow that stuff. You know what I mean? So my thing is make it as easy as possible to actually implement. It ain't perfect, but don't chase perfection. Go chase something that can get you some business.
Cool? Awesome. Good deal. Make sure you got Brian's email, right? What's the email again?
Team, T-E-A-M, @theheckmangroup.com.
All right? Get into one of his sessions that he can help you out and get some stuff going. Because here's the thing. There's not many things you actually need to know to be successful in real estate, right? If I can task you with 3 goals for January, I'll give you the first quarter, all right? Let me task you with 3 goals that you need to know. This will set up all your business you need to do. In this case, start with number 3 that I would recommend, and that is get a sticky app. That was my number 3 last year as well, right? I recommend HomeSnap. Brian has something that's going to tether, right, a client to you. HomeSnap is free. Brian, what you're offering, is it free? Okay, free. All right, you don't need to go pay somebody $10,000 to develop your own personal app, right? You want something that's going to tie them to you, right? Because the consumer wants that. So a sticky app. Number 1, that's number 3. Number 1, know your contract, please. All right? Please know your contract. Please know your contract. How about this? To your contract, no. Contract, no. Okay? To thine own self be true, to thy contract be known. Right? Know your contract. We've got a great class online. Breaks it section by section. You can watch a section a day and be done in 17 days. All right? They all are, except for Section 8, which is the financing, are less than 15 minutes long. All right? Popcorn, what'd you call them? Okay? They'll be a little burnt by 15 minutes, but a lot of them are a lot shorter than that. But you can literally watch it while you're doing your cardio workout, all right, in the morning, okay? You could literally watch it on your phone. Know your contract. And number 2, go find and get better. Even if you're good, get better at valuating properties, placing a value on a property. Those are being able to find a home for sale, they can do that. The consumer can do that without you, right? Knowing a contract and knowing how to value the property, they aren't good at. And many of you aren't either. So that's why you need to be better at it. All right? Seriously, because what value are you bringing to the table? You've got to bring some value. If someone's going to want to hire you, then you've got to bring value, right? So make that a focus for Q1. Know your contract. Know how to, go meet with an appraiser. Quit vilifying them and go say, hey, look, tell me why you thought why did you use this comp and not that one, right? Go buy them lunch. Have it, not to get your appraisal up, okay? That's already done. But go meet with an appraiser and say, hey, look, I want to learn how you think so that I can better be prepared to help my clients, prepare them for reality, right? And to do that. So those are 2 critical skills. And the third one, and maybe go do this first, like I said, because Brian, you'll be teaching these classes in December. Go learn sticky stuff, right? Sticky stuff being that's going to tie them to you. They're going to make them want to say, hey, look, why would I choose anybody else? I've got what I need right here, okay? And Brian's going to give you scripts to help you do that, correct?
Not scripts, because I hate scripts, but we're going to use structure to conversation.
Perfect. Good deal. All right? And which is great. And I'm not a script guy either, because anything that he would give me, I'd modify to make it sound like me anyway. But you give me some broad structure. Hey, that makes sense. How do I get them? Obviously, you've got some techniques to help them want to get a hold of my tethered sticky app. So let me listen to that. Fair enough? Yeah. Cool? All right. Hope to see you guys on Thursday. If you can make it to the Christmas party, we'd love to have you. Want to stick around? Can we start in about 15 minutes? Okay, let's take about a 15-minute break. Those you're sticking around for Janet's class, come on. If you have any questions you need of myself or Brian, make sure you get their cards, get everybody's information up here, and have a great Christmas if I don't talk to you before. All right, good to see you. Doing well, and you? Good to see you.